What a weak opinioned man. So fucking sick of it. I think Demitri was in here first.
I just have a quick question. So
Sure.
apparently, I'm guessing based on the overturning of Roe v. Wade, that's why you want to impeach the five justices, correct? Or
That is one reason. Another reason would be overturning Lemon v. Kurtzman. Another reason would be narrowing the ruling on McGirt v. Oklahoma.
did they talk about overturning them, or have they overturned it? They haven't.
They did overturn Lemon v. Kurtzman, and they narrowed McGirt v. Oklahoma.
Can you just refresh my memory on both of them? Kind of don't know anything about those two court cases.
Lemon v. Kurtzman was essentially a ruling that was 8-0 in terms of public funding going to private religious schools. So they overturned it so that I believe a Catholic school in Maine could receive government funding from the public school fund. And then McGirt v. Oklahoma granted rights back to the state of Oklahoma and took them from the indigenous community and their tribal laws.
And then, based on all three of those, you believe that the five justices should be impeached, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So let me throw out a hypothetical here. Let's say the Supreme Court, instead of being 6-3 conservative, let's say it's 6-3 liberal, right? We have a liberal president, a Democratic president, we have a Democratic Senate and a Democratic House. And let's say DC versus Heller, right? That's the Supreme Court case back in, I think it was '09, where it was ruled 5-4 that an individual has a right under the Second Amendment to possess a firearm uh, at home, correct? So let's say it was all liberal justices, right? And they decided in a 9-0 or whatever it may be, or a 6-3 decision that no, an individual does not have a right under the Second Amendment to own a house and own a firearm in their own home, right? Would you be okay with conservatives going on social media and calling for those six justices to be impeached because they don't like the um, the outcome of their decision?
It would depend on what the justices that were placed, what their opinions were on the case prior to being appointed to the court. And it
So
would depend, I don't know much about the case that you cited, but it would also depend on how much precedence the, would you say District of Columbia v. Heller? Was that it?
yeah, DC versus Heller. Yep. So it
Yeah.
would be,
It would also depend on how much precedent rests on that case. But off the hip, I would say no, that they shouldn't overturn it because it is legal precedent, and that would be the responsibility of the legislative branch to amend the Constitution.
So my thing is with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, because you said we have the three branches. Doesn't that kind of like give the power, taking the power away from the judicial branch, sorry, and then giving it back to the legislative branch when it comes to local, state legislatives and stuff like that. When it comes to the issues of abortion, are you not okay with that? That gives more power to the individual states. You know, you know what I mean?
So abortion should not be a states' rights issues, and the Supreme Court has delegitimized their own power by overturning a case that has 50-year precedent and actually has precedent on top of precedent.
I mean, I think that I don't think that would hold merit. I don't think it had the 50-year precedent. I think it got way at the beginning when Roe v. Wade was first brought up. I think it, the argument or the proponents for Roe was basically like this will allow safe, legal, and rare abortions. And I
Then
think
you don't understand what Roe v. Wade is.
I'm pretty sure I know Roe v. Wade. It was basically not
You
about
don't.
abortion, but it was about the 13th Amendment
It
or
was about the 14th Amendment.
14th Amendment, right? And, with the overturning of Roe v. Wade,
But the language never specifically mentions that abortion should be legal, safe, and rare.
not the decision, but the proponents, the people who support.
No, again, not the those points that you brought up have nothing to do with the case ruling in Roe v. Wade. And Planned Parenthood v. Casey is a precedent that upheld Roe v. Wade, which is what I mean that we have precedent on top of precedent. And whether you like it or not, Roe v. Wade was ruled on in 1973 and it's 2022. So that is 49 years of precedent. And it has stood the test of other cases and it being challenged. So yes, by the Supreme Court overruling it, they have delegitimized their own power because now precedent doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I would totally disagree with you with that fact because the presence of it, they did revalue it and review the case, and with that 50 years of presidents you're talking about, I think
You
it's
realize the word is precedent, not president.
yeah, I know, pre, whatever.
Then you don't understand law.
No, I do. I don't think a lot of people who are for abortions understand the law and what overturning Roe v. Wade is. I think a lot of people think that it banning abortions. No, not really, because if we banned abortion, not in all 50
No
states.
one, I'm not saying it's banning abortions.
What do you think? So, with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, what does that, in your opinion, what does that lead up to? What does that
It
cause now?
allows for government overreach.
Of what?
What do you mean? Of their power. With Roe v. Wade in place, a person's right to seek abortion was a constitutionally protected right. And now that the Supreme Court has overturned that, they have allowed the opportunity for states to execute their power and overreach and impede someone's constitutional right. So yeah, it absolutely is allowing for government overreach. How is it not?
Absolutely not, because you'd have to understand, the right to abortion is not, a constitutional right, and
The
that was
right to privacy is, and abortion falls under that umbrella.
I wouldn't consider abortion being the right to privacy when it comes to
Why?
other because everybody has human rights, not in America, but everybody on this earth has a right to life, and that's the number one right we
What
all
is
have.
the right to life?
Yep, the right to life,
What is the right to life?
allowing to live your life in a way that you want, without any government or a government entity telling you what you should do with your life or not.
Oh,
You know,
great. So you are
the
pro-choice
role,
then,
the only
because
role.
women who don't want to be mothers should have the right to receive medical care when they don't want to be pregnant.
No, not with that, because the only role of government is to
Just made
protect
the argument for a pro-choice person.
the argument. No, no. The only role of government, the role of government, is to protect, their citizens from domestic and foreign threats, to protect their citizens, and to protect their rights. Again, like I said,
That's
abortion
not
is
the
not
question.
covered.
What is the right to life?
Right to I answered that. Let me answer it
You
again
did
for you.
not answer it.
I, I mean, you just didn't like the answer, but I'll answer it again for you. The right to life is allowing somebody to live their life however they want to, without any government official or a government entity forcing something upon them or forcing them to do something against their will.
Then how does a person seeking abortion not positive and negative rights?
Yes, I am positive and negative rights. Yeah, and
What are
abortion
they?
is a negative right.
What are they?
Freedom for him, not us. What do you mean?
What are positive and negative rights? Can you define that, please?
No,
Why?
I don't see the relevance to it.
Because I want to propose a retort to your right to life. So I'm asking you if you understand the difference between positive and negative rights, which you said you did. So now I would like to clarify and understand your definition of positive and negative rights.
Again, it's no relevant to the issue of abortion, so I'm not going to
It
answer.
absolutely does. It absolutely does. Is the right to life a positive or negative right?
A positive one.
So you really don't know what positive and negative rights are.
I would. Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
you
I
really
would.
don't know.
So, yeah.
So just to be clear, you really don't know what positive and negative rights are.
No, no, I do.
You do.
Yeah.
So explain to me how the right to life is a positive right.
Explain to me how it's a negative right.
Well, that is your claim. I will
No,
make
no,
my claim after,
right
but
to
I
life is
have a sneaking suspicion that you really don't know the difference between positive and negative rights. So I would like you to substantiate your claim before I bring forth my argument refuting it.
no thanks.
Okay. You're in good faith. And I was going to disconnect you, but you bounced.